She was wearing that navy wrap dress she used to love, but now it just looked like a uniform. Efficient. Intentional. Her lipstick was darker than usual, and her nails were fresh. The kind of detail you notice when you're looking for signs you don't want to see. She picked at her pasta like it annoyed her. Not a real bite, just pushing it around the plate, twirling it, letting it drop again. I sat across from her, just watching the way her fingers curled the fork, like she was waiting for something else, someone else. I asked, "You good?" Not because I didn't know, but because I needed to hear what version of the truth she'd offer. She didn't look at me, just took a sip of water, swallowed slow. "Yeah, just tired." A beat passed. She smiled at the waiter when he passed by, not a polite smile, the kind of smile that holds history or hope. He didn't notice me, or maybe he did and chose not to. I looked down at the cloth napkin on my lap, smoothed it with my palm. I said, "So what's next for us?" I tried to make it sound casual. I don't know why I said us. Maybe because 5 years felt like it deserved a mention, or maybe because I still had some part of me that hadn't given up yet. She exhaled, that sigh, like I just added another chore to her list. "You know what your problem is," she said, finally making eye contact. Her voice was light, almost playful. "You're too boring." I didn't flinch, didn't move. I just let the words sit there between us like they belonged. That was the moment, right there. The exact second something cracked and didn't mend. She went back to her pasta like she hadn't just flipped the table, not physically, but emotionally. And the irony. Earlier that night, I'd slipped a ring box into the waiter's hand, told him to bring it out with dessert. Not the original ring, this one was different, less flashy, more intentional. I'd picked it after weeks of thinking, after convincing myself we could still fix it. She didn't know that the chef, her favorite, was already in the back plating a special chocolate soufflé, one she used to talk about like it was made of magic. The ring was going to be inside. I sat there, hands folded, pretending I hadn't already seen what I needed to see. The changed passwords, the late-night work texts, the way she laughed when she didn't think I was listening. I watched her reach for her wine glass, her fingers resting lightly on the stem. Her nails clicked against the glass. Her eyes scanned the room again. She wasn't waiting for dessert. She was hoping someone else would walk in. I caught the waiter's eye as he turned the corner with the tray. Small, subtle shake of the head. He paused, confused, then nodded. Turned back. Carried the ring and soufflé into the kitchen like it had never existed. She didn't notice. She was scrolling her phone now, smirking at something I'd never be shown. I looked at her for a long time, really looked, and for the first time in a while I didn't feel love or anger, just clarity. She thought I was boring. But boredom doesn't cancel a dessert behind your back. It doesn't steal a ring from the table. It doesn't end 5 years in silence. It rewrites the ending. And I wasn't about to give her the story she wanted. Not yet, not tonight. There was a time she'd fall asleep on my chest halfway through a movie, and I wouldn't move for an hour, just so she could stay comfortable. She used to steal the blanket in the middle of the night, and I'd just pull on socks instead of waking her. That's the version of her I held on to. The one who texted me, "Made your coffee the way you like it," even when I was just across the apartment. Back then I thought love was about showing up, quietly, consistently. She said I made her feel safe, said I was the first man who didn't make her doubt her own worth. I believed her. So I did what you do when you think someone is your future. I built around her, upgraded jobs, took night courses, traded late-night bar runs with the guys for learning how to make her favorite chicken tagine. I even learned to use those grocery store flowers she liked, the ones wrapped in brown paper, not the overpriced bouquet kind. She said those felt more real. That word stuck with me, real. I saved for a ring with a sapphire, not a diamond, because she said diamonds were basic. I bought a condo instead of a house because she wanted less to clean, and I never questioned it. Saturday mornings were our thing. We'd hit the farmer's market, grab oat milk lattes, she'd point out weird cheeses, and I'd pretend I understood what triple cream meant. She laughed more back then. Not loud, she never had a loud laugh, but soft. Honest. We had a playlist. I know that sounds dumb, but it was real. First song was Landslide, her pick. She said it made her cry every time. Back then, that mattered. When I look back, I realize the shift didn't happen all at once. It was a slow erosion, like water on stone, subtle, dangerous. It started after she got the new job. A big-name restaurant, trendy, fast-paced, lots of press. I was proud of her, said all the right things. You deserve this. They're lucky to have you. I meant every word. At first, she came home buzzing. Stories about celebrity diners, inside jokes with the pastry team. She'd still kick off her heels and curl up next to me, feet ice cold against my legs. Still wore my hoodies. Still played our playlist. But the stories changed tone after a while. There was always a he in them, a new chef. Young but brilliant, she said, like annoyingly good. That was the word she used, annoyingly. I asked if he was single once, just being stupid. She laughed it off. Don't be insecure, he's just a kid. Then came the late nights, the menu changes, the emergency prep sessions. I didn't push. She was building her dream. I was supposed to support that. But I remember the moment I first flinched. She changed her phone background. Used to be us. A blurry beach photo where I had a dumb hat on and she looked sunburnt but happy. One morning it was a quote, some kitchen mantra. I asked about it. She shrugged, needed a reset. Then the perfume changed. I know that sounds small, but it hit me harder than anything. Her old scent was soft. Vanilla and jasmine, now it was sharp. Citrus and something expensive I couldn't name. I asked her once. She said, it's more grown. I started journaling. Not because I'm poetic, because she kept saying I was misremembering things. Like when I said, you didn't text me back last night, and she said, yes I did, check again. When I said, you were gone till 2 a.m., and she said, no, I got in before midnight, you were asleep. It made me question myself. I started writing down timestamps, not because I wanted to catch her, just to make sure I wasn't going crazy. That's the part people don't talk about, how slow gaslighting feels. It's not a scream. It's a whisper repeated enough that you stop trusting your own ears. I still set the coffee the night before, still folded her laundry the way she liked it, towels rolled, not folded. I kept showing up, even when she didn't. Because love isn't a light switch, it's a dimmer. You don't know it's fading until the room's already dark. And by the time I noticed, I couldn't tell if she was walking away from me or just toward something else. It was the laugh that did it, not loud, not anything you'd notice in a crowded room, but I knew that sound, or at least I thought I did. She always had this specific laugh when something really caught her off guard. Soft at first, then a little snort at the end when she couldn't hold it back. It used to be mine. Happened when I'd tickle her sides while pretending to reach for the remote. Or when I'd do that stupid dance move I learned from some viral video and nearly pull a muscle. But this laugh, it wasn't mine anymore. I heard it one night when she was on the phone. She didn't know I was still up. I was in the kitchen, lights off, just standing there with a glass of water, listening to her voice coming from the bedroom. The laugh was lighter, almost flirty. I didn't move, just stared at the cabinet, listened to the way she said, stop, like she didn't really mean it, followed by silence. Then her soft whisper, you're such an idiot. She hung up when she heard me walking toward the hallway, pretended she was setting an alarm. I asked who it was. She said no one, just checking on the new guy's schedule, he's a mess. I nodded, walked away. I didn't sleep that night. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing more of those cracks. Her phone was always face down. She changed the password, said it was a work thing, some privacy policy. But she never minded before. She used to let me put on our playlist when we cooked. Now it was always something else. EDM, house music, songs with heavy bass lines I'd never heard her listen to before. The first time she called me dude, I actually laughed, thought she was joking. She was. It was during a quick grocery run. I asked if we needed eggs and she snapped. "We've been over this, dude." I said I got them already. She didn't even look up from her phone, just tossed a box of granola into the cart and kept walking. I remember standing there, next to the frozen peas, wondering when I'd been demoted from babe to dude. The distance wasn't dramatic, it wasn't even loud. It was just present, like a hum in the background you can't quite place but it starts to get under your skin. She worked longer hours, started showering as soon as she got home, said the kitchen made her smell like grease, but her hair smelled like something else, something cologne-adjacent, sharp, masculine. One night I asked if she wanted to watch a movie. She glanced up from her phone, then back down. "I'm tired." No kiss goodnight, no hand squeeze, just tired. The next morning I opened my notebook and wrote, Thursday, came home at 11:17, showered, didn't eat, said tired. I wasn't trying to build a case. Not then. I just needed to keep myself anchored, because she'd started saying things like, "You're always imagining stuff. I told you about that already, don't you remember? You're being paranoid again." So I wrote it down, times, words, the tone in her voice, just to make sure I wasn't losing track of reality. That notebook became my sanity, a quiet record of the unraveling. We'd sit at the same dinner table we picked out together, but she'd eat fast, phone in one hand, barely looking up. Sometimes I'd talk just to test it. Mention something small like the neighbor's dog died or I got an offer to present at a conference, and she'd nod at the wrong time or say, "That's nice, babe," like a reflex. She wasn't there, not really. One night I stayed up until 3 a.m. just watching the door. She said she had a team meeting, said it was off-site, said she might crash at a coworker. I didn't ask who, I just said okay. At 2:47, I heard the key in the lock. She froze when she saw me on the couch. "You scared me," she said, tossing her purse on the floor. I nodded. "Where were you?" She kicked off her shoes. "I told you, team meeting. We got drinks after, it's not a crime." She moved past me, kissed the top of my head like I was a child, said, "You really have to stop overthinking everything." I watched her disappear down the hall. I opened the notebook again. Wrote Friday, 2:47 a.m. said drinks, didn't name who, no apology. The worst part wasn't the lies. It was how practiced they felt, like muscle memory, like she'd been doing it long enough to perfect the rhythm. I didn't cry, didn't scream. Just sat there, holding a pen, wondering when the woman I loved stopped needing to lie with effort. And why she didn't even try anymore. She left her phone on the coffee table that night. Not by accident, she wasn't sloppy like that, but maybe she thought I was asleep, or maybe she just didn't care anymore. Either way, it was there, screen up, unlocked, glowing with a new message. I didn't move at first, just sat there watching the name pop up, see no emoji, just the initial, clean, hidden in plain sight. The message read, "Still tasting you, that sauce was magic." I read it twice. Then I picked up the phone, not because I wanted to, because I couldn't not. I needed it to be a joke, something innocent, something I could laugh about later and feel ashamed for doubting. It was. There were voice notes, him saying her name like it was a secret, her giggling, telling him, "Not tonight, he's home early." Texts about recipes and hotel rooms, about mornings they didn't want to end. Photos, her in a silk robe I didn't recognize, in our apartment, smiling at someone behind the camera, someone that wasn't me. There was one video, just a few seconds. She was twirling her hair saying, "I like the way you say sous chef. It makes it sound dirty." My throat closed up. Everything inside me went still, like my own body had left the room. I heard the shower running down the hall, steam slipping from under the bathroom door. I sat with her phone in my hand, the screen still lit, her voice still echoing in my ears. She wasn't hiding it, not really, not anymore. She came out in one of those oversized towels she only wore when she didn't want to talk. Her hair was wrapped. She was humming something off-key, something upbeat. She saw me. Stopped. Her smile faded just a flicker, then came back sharper, thinner. "Everything okay?" she asked, towel clutched to her chest like armor. I held out the phone. No words, just an open hand. She looked at it, then at me. Her mouth twitched, not panic, not guilt, just irritation, like I'd interrupted something important. "Wow," she said, crossing the room slowly. "You're really snooping now." I didn't say anything, just watched her take the phone back, lock the screen, and place it gently on the shelf by the TV. "You shouldn't go through my stuff," she added, calm, practiced. There it was again, that quiet gaslight. No denial, just blame. I asked how long. She pulled her hair from the towel, twisting it into a bun. "Does it matter?" That's when I realized I'd lost her. Not to him, to herself. To this version of her that could stand 2 feet from me and not flinch. I asked again, softer, "How long?" She sat on the edge of the couch, her leg crossed toward the door, always ready to leave. She said, "I don't keep track." Then she looked at me, eyes flat, no tears, no regret, just annoyance. "You and I haven't been connected for a while," she said. "You work, I work. We live in the same space, but we're not really living together." She spoke like a therapist reading a script. I said nothing, because I knew if I spoke it would come out wrong, loud, ugly, and I wasn't going to give her that. She stood up, smoothed the towel against her thigh. "I think we should talk about next steps," she said, walking toward the bedroom. "This isn't working." The door clicked shut behind her. I sat there, alone, still holding the space where her phone had been. On the shelf behind me was a photo of us at the lake. Her hair was tangled from the wind, my arm around her waist. She was laughing at something I'd said. That photo lied now. I picked up the ring box from the drawer in the hallway. The real one. The one with the sapphire she'd pointed out months ago, not realizing I remembered. I opened it, looked at it under the kitchen light. It didn't hurt like I thought it would. It just felt old, like something that belonged to someone else now. I put it back in the box, then placed the box inside a shoebox, wrapped it in newspaper. No ceremony, no emotion, just action. The next morning, she didn't speak to me. She left early, said something about inventory, said she'd be back late. I nodded. She didn't ask if I was okay, didn't look me in the eye. And when the door closed behind her, I sat back down at the kitchen table. Opened my notebook. Wrote. Truth confirmed, not paranoia, not imagination. Her words, her voice, her choice. I underlined it twice. And then I smiled, not because I was okay, but because the guessing was over. Now came the part where I stopped reacting and started thinking. I didn't say a word the next morning. She made coffee, hers, not mine. Didn't ask if I wanted any. Just sipped it slowly, standing by the sink, scrolling on her phone like I wasn't even there. I waited until she finished, set the cup down, and walked into the bedroom before I got up and poured the rest down the drain. Quietly. Not out of spite, just to feel like I could still control something. That's how it started. Not with a fight, not with slammed doors or ultimatums, just silence. Heavy, deliberate silence. She noticed it after a few days. "You okay?" she asked one night, chewing a bite of salad she made only for herself. Fork clinked against the plate. I looked at her, I'm listening more. She tilted her head. To what? I shrugged. Everything. She didn't ask again. That weekend, I spent the entire day going through my accounts. Changed passwords, every single one. Bank logins, email, even my Spotify. She made playlists on my account. I deleted them all, started from scratch, just white noise and old blues, stuff she hated. I pulled out the prenup, sat at the kitchen table and read it slowly like it was a novel, marked the sections on infidelity, on shared property, on digital assets. She was meticulous when we signed it, said it was modern, said it protected both of us. She didn't think about the crypto. It wasn't worth much when we got married. It was worth a lot now, and the prenup didn't touch it. I made sure my wallet was clean, transferred the big holdings to cold storage, set a backup code, wrote it by hand, kept it somewhere she'd never think to look, inside a hollowed-out cookbook, the one she bought but never opened. She kept trying to act normal. She'd text me gifts like we used to, ask if I wanted Thai or sushi. I'd answer with one-word replies. She called me babe once out of habit. I didn't respond. She said, "You're being cold." I said, "I call it clarity." At night we slept inches apart but miles away. She stopped trying to touch me, stopped pretending. I started waking up earlier, made sure I was gone before she got up, left her with the empty bed and the sound of my car starting. One night she came home late and found me on the couch with my laptop open. She leaned against the doorframe. "We should talk." I closed the screen. "We are." "No," she said, arms folded. "Really talk." I nodded. "You go first." She hesitated, shifted her weight like she was searching for the right angle. "I feel like we're just going through the motions," she said, eyes darting past mine. "We're not connecting. I don't know when that changed." I didn't answer, just stared at her. She filled the silence. "I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I think we can reset. Maybe take a trip, try something new. I don't know, just try." I watched her mouth move, but all I heard was that text again. "Still tasting you." I said, "Sure, a trip sounds good." Her eyes lit up, that little spark, like maybe she just won something. The next morning I forwarded my lawyer the screenshots. Every message, every image. I added a short note. "She doesn't know I know. I want to keep it that way for now." Later that week I found a lease application in her inbox. It was half filled. A new apartment across town. Studio, no parking space, probably meant for him. She was preparing her exit, but she wanted me to pull the plug first, so she could play the wounded one, the abandoned wife. I didn't give her that. Instead, I suggested dinner, at the place where we'd first celebrated her job offer, 5 years ago, the place where I once planned to propose. She blinked, seriously. I nodded, thought it'd be nice, one last reset. She smiled. "This is the version of you I miss." I booked the table, called ahead, asked for the same corner booth, told them to expect a surprise delivery during dessert, said it had to be discreet. They remembered me, still had the original request from years back in their system. That night she wore the same dress from our anniversary, the navy one, said it still fit but she liked how it looked better now, like she was more herself. I held the door open for her, let her order first, let her talk about the menu, about her week, about nothing that mattered. I didn't say much. Just smiled. Just waited. She didn't notice the ring box when they set down the dessert plate. Of course she didn't. It looked different now, matte black instead of velvet blue, square instead of oval, and the waiter didn't make a scene. No spotlight, no congratulations, no violinist hiding in the shadows like I once imagined. Just a silent gesture, the plate, the soufflé, and the box off to the side like an afterthought. She was mid-sentence when she saw it. Something about how she'd been thinking we could visit Mexico again, like old times. She trailed off when her eyes caught the edge of the box. "Oh," she said, almost a gasp, "what's this?" I leaned back in the booth. The leather squeaked under me. I waited a beat, just long enough for her to fill the space with her own expectations. She reached for it, fingers trembling just enough to give her away. I watched her eyes flick to mine, looking for permission. For a cue, I gave her none. She opened it. Inside, not a ring. Just a folded strip of printer paper, 2 lines of text, printed, not handwritten. I didn't need a recipe to taste betrayal, neither did you. Her face went blank, then tight, like she was trying to figure out if this was a joke or worse, a trap. She looked up. What is this? The maitre d' appeared on cue. He'd been waiting. I'd paid extra for that. He held a leather folder in his hand, like a wine menu. He placed it gently on the table between us. I believe this belongs to the lady, he said, then walked away. She looked at it confused. What is this? I didn't answer, just nodded toward it. She opened it. Inside, a printed dossier. Messages, screenshots, her texts, voice-to-text transcripts, one photo of her in that silk robe, his dog in the background. Her mouth parted, but no sound came out. The restaurant didn't pause. Silverware clinked, glasses clinked. Laughter floated across the room. But at our table, there was only silence. She whispered, "You went through my phone." "No," I said. "You left it open. I just stopped pretending not to see." She blinked. "You planned this." "I adapted," I said. She shoved the folder closed. "This is sick." I nodded. "It is." She reached for her purse. "We're leaving." I didn't move. "I drove myself," I said. She stood up. The navy dress wrinkled under her hand as she grabbed the strap of her bag. Her voice dropped low. "You humiliated me." "No," I said, still seated. "You did that to yourself. I just turned on the light." She stared at me. For a second I thought she might cry. But no, not her, not in public. Then she said it. "You're a monster." I smiled just a little. Better than being boring, right? That landed. I watched it hit her like a slap. She left, not fast, just controlled, like a woman holding herself together until the door closed behind her. The chef, the real one, came out a few minutes later. He didn't know the whole story, just enough to ask if I was okay. I told him the soufflé was perfect, just like I remembered. I paid the check, left a tip big enough to cover the mess, walked out without looking back. Outside, the air was cold, cleaner than I expected. I stood on the curb for a while, just listening to the city breathe. My phone buzzed, 3 missed calls, all from her, 1 text. "Why are you doing this? Can't we talk like adults?" I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the folder, the exact same one from dinner, to my lawyer. Subject line, "Delivery complete, proceed with dissolution." I went home. She wasn't there. The closet door was open. Some of her clothes were gone, the essentials. The sentimental stuff was still hanging untouched. Her side of the bed was still warm. I didn't touch it. Didn't wash the sheets. Just lay there, eyes open, watching the ceiling spin. Not angry, not triumphant. Just empty. But not broken. Never broken. She cried in the car. I didn't see it, but I know. The way she grabbed her purse too tight, the way she didn't look back, that controlled exit, that was for the audience. The tears came when she realized there wasn't one. I didn't chase her. I went home, turned off my phone, not silent mode off. I didn't want to see her name light up the screen, didn't want her words in my pocket. The next morning, her key was still on the kitchen counter, gold with a tiny red rubber cover. I'd bought the cover so she wouldn't mix it up with her work keys. She left it beside the toaster, like it meant nothing. She was gone by the time the sun hit the floorboards. I didn't block her. Didn't post anything. Didn't change my status. Didn't even delete our photos. Just let everything sit exactly where it was. I wanted the silence to echo. It did. 2 days later, Our mutual friend Claire texted me. "Hey, is everything okay with you guys? She's been off." I replied with a single image, the same folder I gave the maitre d'. No words, no explanation, just the truth. Claire never wrote back, but the likes disappeared. The group chat we used to have, she left it. That's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't just fracture love, it ripples. Some people can swim through it, most can't. 3 days after dinner, I got her first email. Subject line: "Closure." She wrote, "I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope one day you'll remember the good parts. I really did love you. I just lost myself. I'm sorry." I stared at the blinking cursor for a long time, thought about typing something, anything. Instead, I dragged the message into a new folder called No Reply. That was the last time I saw her name on a screen. I heard from someone that she moved out of state, started fresh. New restaurant, new title, probably a new version of herself too. But I don't follow her. I don't ask about her. I don't need to. She already said everything I needed to hear, not in her apology, but in her silence during the years we were together. In the way she picked up her phone before picking up my hand. In the way she said, "We need a reset," while planning her escape. My revenge wasn't the folder. It was the follow-through. The ghosting. The peace. I live in a smaller place now, fewer rooms, no reminders. Sometimes I hear that same laugh in a cafe, on a sidewalk, and I pause, but it's never hers, just the memory trailing behind me like smoke. And when people ask what happened, I just say she made different choices. That's all they need to know. That's all I need to remember. People always ask why I didn't explode, why I didn't scream or post or burn everything down. The truth. It's because I saw it coming. I just didn't want to believe it. And once the truth finally showed up, plain and quiet and undeniable, all the fire left my body. You don't scream at a locked door, you just walk away. She called me boring, said I was predictable, safe, like that was an insult. But I think now she didn't want safe. She wanted friction. She wanted chaos with edges, the kind that cuts you just enough to feel alive. She never understood that I wasn't boring, I was just still. Still enough to notice how her perfume changed. Still enough to clock the seconds between her texts. Still enough to remember the way she used to reach for my hand under the table and how that stopped. Stillness is not weakness. It's observation. It's awareness. And sometimes it's strategy. People think revenge is loud, that it needs fireworks or fists or viral confessionals. But silence is cleaner, it leaves fewer stains. I didn't ruin her, I didn't need to, she did that all on her own. I just stepped out of the way and let gravity finish what it started. Some nights I still think about her, not with anger, not even with sadness, just with distance, like a character from a movie I used to love before I realized how it ended. She probably tells people I was cold, that I stopped trying, that I pulled away. And maybe I did. But I know the truth. I showed up every day until she gave me a reason not to. Now I just live differently, quieter, sharper. I keep receipts not because I expect betrayal, but because I've learned not to ignore patterns. You can forgive someone and still leave the room. You can remember the love and still honor the end. This isn't a victory story, it's just a real one. I didn't win, she didn't lose. But I walked away with my peace intact. And she has to live with the sound of a souffle being set down on a table and realizing it wasn't a proposal. It was a mirror. And I let her see herself. This is Revenge with Camden. If you've ever been betrayed by the person you trusted most, hit subscribe. You're not alone.